You captured it quite well in your introductory remarks. The industry's been through quite a roller coaster. The entrance of the U.S. product in a large volume, starting with Sabine Pass, as you said, in February of 16, ramping up to last year's #1 position overall, and Cheniere delivering a little over half of that volume. So quite a challenging period for the industry, but one that proved the mettle of LNG as flexible fuel, as a product that can respond to market conditions, and in many cases help countries and regions adjust to unprecedented challenges. So right now, as you said, not only in Europe but in parts of Asia, inventories are in good shape. We've had a couple of bouts of cold weather, whether that was Northeast China, whether that was in Europe, but overall the market is handling this quite well, and we are kind of getting ready over the next couple of years for what some have started calling the third major wave of LNG supply, and we think that will be quite healthy for the market, and something that will continue to help the market rebalance, continue to allow gas to be part of the global primary energy equation in the right way. Mm-hmm. And we're looking forward to doing our part and supplying that reliably and efficiently. Yeah. That's a fair point. Nothing that we see could possibly compare to the shock to the system that was the Ukraine war. I mean, that is such a large delta that even if the market was oversupplied, and of course it wasn't, as you pointed out, prices really started to move up in 21 before the invasion. And you can also point out that the Russian pipeline flows started to decline meaningfully before the invasion. But whatever the case is, the market was tight, and not a meaningful amount of new supply has been added. So the volumes that have been redirected from some of the non-OECD markets, those non-OECD markets continue to be relatively starved of product. So the market is finally balanced, and any event that takes single-digit percentages off the market, whether that is as a supply curtailment or a demand spike, can certainly throw it into a precarious position again. But one of the many things that the market learned, just like, again, in your opening remarks in 2020, the market learned that when there is a dramatic decline in demand, unprecedented decline in demand, especially the U.S. product can adjust by taking volumes relatively economically off the market, bring those volumes back within months fairly quickly. So these are tools that the LNG market has been testing in some sense over the last couple of years that we think will help it address some of those unpredictable, even relatively major moves. Well, medium to longer term, everything that we see, everything we track, top down, bottom up, still leads us to roughly the same place where we were before the war, which is that the three pillars of LNG demand growth, roughly equally split, are China, South, and Southeast Asia. Different drivers in those markets, but they all add about 100 million tons order of magnitude to the market. Market is order of magnitude 400 million tons today. We see it getting to just under 700 million by 2040. We call that doubling. Why doubling from 400 to 700? Because in our estimate, about 100 million of supply comes out of the market over the next decade and a half or so from the legacy project. So we see everything in place to continue that growth. We see the investment in pipelines, storage, power plants, regas terminals, shifts away from coal in some markets, shifts to replace domestic and regional gas production in some markets. So it is a variety of drivers. As you said, in China, back a little bit over 70 million tons, not quite back to the record number we saw of over 80 million tons in 21, but everything is in place and heading towards, we think, about 130, 140 million ton market in China alone as we get towards the mid-30s, 2040 timeframe. Then we actually think it plateaus, and we're very we have now 4 customers, direct customers in China. A number of them have been repeat customers, which we're very proud of. The drivers are quite different for those different markets, and we think in the aggregate, we're quite confident that actually China will meet its climate objectives of peak emissions in 30 and net zero in 60. So we're we're proud to be part of that solution.
Yeah.
Healthy, one of the recent transactions we did was with PTT and in Thailand, and we think that is a market. I will say it took maybe a year and a half longer, partially because of COVID, but as that market developed and as domestic production declines, I will say played out a little bit slower. Thailand did a better job, and Chevron, who is the big incumbent, did a better job managing field declines. But now those are in play. The economy is healthy. The commitment to renewables and gas generation in partnership with those renewables and growing the Thai economy for all kinds of the new big economic drivers, electric vehicles, AI, infrastructure, et cetera, is something that we're, again, very happy to be helping our partners at PTT with, and we see that continuing. Yeah, I mean, there's no getting away from this being a cyclical business, and as we touched on earlier, the period of a lull in meaningful new supply additions created a market backdrop that we think was part of the calculus in some of the things that played out in Europe. Yeah. The fact that this additional volume is coming unquestionably will help the market rebalance. One of the things that we at Cheniere, we have designed a business model that really is not exposed to those marginal market conditions. We are order of magnitude 95% contracted through the middle of next decade. We've committed a lot of volume over the last year and a half from our expansion projects that, depending on how things play out, we could be even more contracted than that. And we're really designed to collect that fixed fee and build infrastructure to supply our long-term customers with what has been and we think will continue to be a very low volatility, relatively affordable, and of course, increasingly clean product. And we think that will stand the test of time, both for us and for our customers. But the marginal product being priced at $20, $30, $50 an MMBTU is terrible for us and is terrible for the consumer. Like, we need this industry to be healthy, and we need it to be able to economically grow demand. So China has over 40 gigawatts of gas-fired power generation under construction. The best case scenario is that is fed an MMBTU price that is in the high single digits, has very affordable power as a result, and industry and residential commercial demand can continue to grow. So we think at those economics, everybody wins. And again, what we saw in 21, 22, 23 was that countries that could afford this marginal price for MMBTU per MMBTU attracted those volumes many times at the cost of countries and economies that could not afford that. So we look for those economies, a lot of them are gas economies, to be able to affordably and sustainably receive those molecules going forward. I had the team take a look at what the non-coincident peak quarterly demand for LNG was. And that number is order of magnitude about 600 million tons. So before the current expansion really kicked into high gear in terms of the regas infrastructure, et cetera, the world could consume 50% more than is the current market. So there are a lot of opportunities to refill demand. And I'll just throw out the last statistic, which is relative to the US and Australia big push of 16 through 20. Volumetrically, the amount of supply that's coming in is roughly comparable, but obviously it's coming into a much larger market. So as a percentage, it's much more manageable. On top of that, the industry tends to run about 83, 84% utilization. So to your point, you never know where you're going to see a major outage and for what reason on the supply side. And the other aspect is that while the projects are very easy to track, right? No one's going to surprise you with a 30 million ton expansion. They tend to come in later than market expects. The home team has done an amazing job, and I take no credit for this, but we at Cheniere have been running 95% or so utilization, and as you know, we've brought our trains online ahead of schedule. and started serving our customers on schedule.
Yeah.
But that is not the industry trend. So, like you said, it's healthy to have some amount of flexibility in the system. And again, the ability of the market to absorb that at a price we think is quite healthy already. We were put on the map by the portfolio player of, let's say, the second wave, which was BG, now obviously Shell, still our largest single customer. And that vision and foresight that U.S. LNG will be a reliable, attractive, affordable and secure product has been part of our hallmark from day one, from those contracts that we signed in 2011. The fact that those portfolio players remain very committed to gas, the fact that they see the track record of the U.S. product and the flexibility of the U.S. product, kind of makes sense that they are, depending on how and what period you measure, roughly half of that contracted supply. So we're very proud to have Shell, Chevron, Equinor, and others. Total, of course, is part of our portfolio. And I don't have anything very interesting to say on that other than I think that dynamic will continue. And our forward book of business very much rhymes with our recent history. That said, the types of products and the capabilities of Cheniere have evolved dramatically. So what put us on the map were fairly standard 20-year FOB contracts that BG and KOGAS and now Naturgy, then Gas Natural executed, and others. And we've evolved from that. We're working with a lot of North American producers. They supply us the gas. We get them international gas prices on a netback basis. We deliver a lot of volumes to mainland China, to Taiwan, to Poland, and we think that mix of business is going to continue. We have now world-class capabilities. We didn't have that, of course, in 2012 when we started, so our ability to serve customers on a delivered basis is something that the world is comfortable with. And we gain a lot of operational and commercial flexibility as a result. So it's really a win-win. Going forward, I still think the vast majority of our product will be an FOB product, but we will continue to add this producer exposure and a delivered product. And I think in terms of customer mix, again, it'll continue to rhyme with the large oil companies that are transitioning to be energy companies, transitioning to be gas companies, being a very important seat at the table.